Mr. Barr, there's a serious diversity problem at the Federal Reserve. Latinos are the nation's largest minority. They make up 20% of the United States population, yet they have no representation in Fed leadership. I've raised this issue many times with nominees and sitting members of the Federal Reserve. I've heard extensively about what the Fed is supposedly doing, and I just can tell you right now that's just not sufficient. 62 million Hispanic Americans in the United States with a $2 trillion domestic marketplace impact deserve a seat at the table where our nation's most important economic decisions are made. It's the reason that I voted against Chairman Powell. So I'm eager to hear how you would deal with this question. If confirmed, what steps would you take to improve minority representation, particularly Latino representation in leadership roles at the Fed?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. I agree with you that diversity and equity and inclusion are important goals for the Federal Reserve to pursue. In my experience in prior jobs at the Treasury Department and at the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy, those have been really quite important goals of mine as well. And what I've been doing in my own work is to try and build a pipeline of people who can then come in, get increasingly senior jobs, positions. It starts in our work at the Ford School, for example. We start in high schools now, going out into high schools and educating students about the opportunities of public policy. We run a summer program for juniors in college to get them engaged in public policy and prepare them for graduate training. We do a lot of work to build out the graduate pool. We then work on the postdoctoral pool, the faculty pool, and so really kind of a holistic approach.
I appreciate that, and preparing the pipeline obviously is one element. Mm-hmm. But the problem is there are many qualified individuals now who could enter into the Fed system. There are qualified individuals who should be on the on the regional banks. So will you commit to working with my office to increase Latino representation at the Fed?
Yes, sir. I would be delighted to work with your office on these issues.
You also have an important role to play in the selection process for presidents and members of the board of directors of the 12 Federal Reserve Banks, which in its 108-year history has never had a Latino sitting on it. Would you commit to working to ensure that diverse candidates are considered for these positions?
Yes, Senator. I think that is a quite important goal for the Federal Reserve, and I'd be delighted to work on that.
And it's not just to do the right thing. Study after study shows us that the more diverse boards, the greater the profitability and the bottom line. Mr. Lizarraga, congratulations on your nomination. If confirmed, you'd be the only Latino currently serving on the SEC Commission, or Senate-confirmed federal financial regulator for that matter. And Mr. Ueda, congratulations to you as well on your historic nomination. The asset management and investment advisory industries are overwhelmingly white and male. Studies consistently show that greater diversity leads to greater profitability, as I just suggested. So in an effort to improve performance and thereby benefit retail investors, the SEC's Asset Management Advisory Committee unanimously recommended that the SEC take concrete actions to improve diversity in these industries. So I want to ask both Mr. Ueda and Mr. Lizarraga, can you commit to bringing these recommendations before the Commission for a vote so that we can bring transparency and diversity to the industry and ultimately deliver better outcomes for investors?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. And I embrace diversity and inclusion as fundamental values, and I'm proud of the work that I've done in Congress on that issue, including in the setting up of the historic House Diversity Office that serves the entire House of Representatives. I'm also aware that this is an issue that has received a lot of attention in the shareholder proposals, and it's something that, if confirmed, I intend to stay very active on. And
all I'm looking for is a vote. You guys can vote it down if you want to, but the SEC Management Advisory Committee unanimously, that's a very broad spectrum of individuals, made this recommendation. So all I'm looking for is a vote before the SEC. If you all don't think it's a good idea, you can vote it down. If you think it's a good idea, you can support it. So will you seek, if you're confirmed, to have a vote before the SEC on this advisory committee's recommendations?
If confirmed, I look forward to exploring that possibility, recognizing that I would need to look into the details of that process, but I agree with the sentiment that's expressed by the advisory committee.
Mr. Ureta?
When I was on the SEC staff, I had the privilege of help standing up the Asset Management Advisory Committee. I think I've seen the incredible amount of work they've put in on these recommendations. And all of them, not only just for AMAC, but the other advisory committees, the recommendations need to be taken very, very seriously by the commission. If confirmed, I will commit to considering any item that Chair Gensler, who oversees what items go onto the agenda, are put up on diversity and improving inclusion in the asset
You've
management.
both learned in your time in Congress to be very cautious in your answers. I'm going to submit questions for the record. I'd like to support both of your nominations, but I just simply want to hear a yes or no. If Chairman Gensler puts it up, then you can be advocates to Chairman Gensler to put it on, right? You're not just stoic figures there. You have a role to play if you're ultimately confirmed. Senator Rounds is next.
Thank you.